by a childless couple. They're parallels to the story of Moses.
Also Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is technically fighting the New Age liberal Nazis.
Oh, come on, let me just stay with Superman for a sec. Like, we're going with this. Look at the parallels on this. He had Samson's strength, right? I don't know. There's like all kinds of stuff written on it.
Yeah, it's definitely scripturally based, I would say.
It's funny that Marvel gets all this credit for like the MCU, and it made a lot of money, commercially, successful. But if we're going to talk about what the best superhero movies were, the Donner Superman movies, the 1 and 2, and I know Donner was unhappy with the second one, but those two, amazing. Christopher Nolan's Batman universe, the third film sucked, but the universe that he created, that's amazing. And then Watchmen is amazing. There's nothing that Marvel's done film-wise that has touched any of that stuff. Yes, they've made a fucking shitload of money, and that's a measurement that I don't completely discount. But if we're just talking about what the best movies are, the three best universes that they've created on film have all been DC.
Well, don't forget.
Roger, isn't the fact that it makes so much money indicate that maybe most of the general public may have a different opinion than yours?
This is true that the general public can do that, but the general public doesn't decide what is good. The general public determines what is popular. This is why if Britney Spears sells a bunch of records, we don't say that that Britney Spears is a better singer than, let's say, Aretha Franklin.
Yeah, but you know what? People have different opinions of these things, and you always sometimes think that your opinion is the absolute God's own truth.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Listen, and I'm not like that. I actually think I look at markets, and so I actually say, you know what? In the eyes most people, this is better. It doesn't matter what I think, So we have a very different view about how.
Wait, hold on. Okay, so Gone with the Wind was the big moneymaker back in the day, right? And if you adjust for inflation, it's still the big moneymaker, right? You agree with that?
I haven't done the numbers to adjust it to inflation, so I don't know if that's right.
Yeah, okay. And if it's wrong, there might be 1 or 2 films that have passed it up since, what year was that? 39, something like that?
Also, you have to adjust for population.
Oh, no, you don't. Listen, they did so well comparing to I don't even want to get into it. That was the commercial hit. No fucking critic on the planet is going to say that Gone with the Wind is a better film than Citizen Kane. You could say that it was a commercially more successful, and that is true. But commercial success and better art, they're not the fucking same thing. And I think that's crazy that people assume that.
Well, I guess you could look at it like that. That's why Harvey Weinstein won all those Academy Awards with these artsy films that didn't necessarily do well at the box office, but somehow they won Oscars. Whatever. Everyone's got their thing.
Ken, Britney Spears or Otis Redding or B.B. King? Better artists.
Well, no, okay. We could probably all agree that Britney Spears is not a great singer. I'm gonna defend her on a couple of things here. Okay.
She got some good dance moves.
Besides that, okay. Do you know? I think most people would actually say, and I would say, that Celine Dion is a better singer than Britney Spears. But guess what? Britney Spears has vastly more top 20 hits than Celine Dion. Okay? And when they pitched her residency, her guy pitched her residency that she had in Vegas, the pitch for Britney was that she's got a catalog. She had over 20 top 40 hits. And that's not nothing. Even if she couldn't necessarily, and maybe I'll answer the question this way. I remember an interview with Barry Manilow, who's not a great singer, and acknowledges that he's not a great singer. He's been incredibly commercially successful. He's the first one to tell you, because I remember the interview, he's no Luther Vandross, okay? And then they asked him about Britney Spears. And he had a really interesting answer, a good answer. He said, she has a lot of good music, but how well she could sing if she had to sit on a stool and just sing, I don't know because I've never seen it. Okay, and that's a fair assessment, because there are certain of these pop stars like Christina Aguilera who have a tremendous voice that can sing a cappella, and and that's actually kind of actually how you can tell someone who's really a good singer when they can, how well they can sing a cappella. Okay, but I don't disregard the the commercial, because
I'm not asking you to disregard it, but Ken, I just want you to acknowledge that there is a difference. Because if there wasn't, what we would do is every time a film is the highest box office film for that year, we would nominate it for Best Picture. And that doesn't happen every year. And it's very rare that when it is nominated. I'll tell you what, I predicted, I wish I could fucking bring my friend Mike on here. We watched the Oscars together, and I told him The Hurt Locker is going to win Best Picture. He thought I was fucking crazy. He said, dude, Avatar, they're going to win all the awards. They got all the money. I said, they don't need the award. This is a fucking trade show for film. Avatar's already done what it needs to do. It's already made all the money. The whole point of the Oscars is to bring actors together, filmmakers, songwriters, or the people that do the music. It's to honor the screenplay, to get people excited about going to the movies. And what they want to do is they want to get people excited about different types of movies, which is why they've expanded it back to, nominating like 10 films rather than 5 films. Because what they want you to do is to get excited. This is their trade show every year, right? And now you could argue the validity of the award itself, but I would argue that what you're supposed to be measuring is what is the best film that was made, not the most successful one. And if you were going to be measuring the most successful one, you don't need to have a ballot. All you have to do is count the tickets that were sold, and then you just go and present the award.
Fine. Even with that, though, you're going to have differences of opinion, because when they do the vote, not everybody votes for the same thing. So let me ask you this question, Roger. We'll stick with the singers. We're thinking about Britney Spears. And I don't even necessarily have an opinion on this. I'm not even sure. Okay? Who's a better singer, Celine Dion or Barbra Streisand at their prime? Obviously, there's some age difference.
Oh my God, that's like the question of the century.
Wait, I don't know why it is.
At their prime.
Hold on, that's not a hard one at all. Barbra Streisand wins all day. Like I can't even believe somebody's asked that question. Like honestly, if somebody gave me tickets to a Celine Dion concert in her prime, I would immediately sell them.
Her show was great, by the way. The residency in Vegas was great, but Streisand in her prime had the voice.
Of course. And Aretha Franklin's 10 times Streisand. What are we talking about?
Okay, and now I'm gonna, because this is coming from a place of more detailed knowledge, and most people are gonna have, because I was involved with it. So, but just to prove a point that, like, people's opinions. Okay, David Foster, who obviously has worked with Streisand, worked with Celine. People think people know who he is. He had his own show at Mandalay Bay some years ago, like 10 years ago. Did a couple of things.
I just saw him last year in concert, Ken, here.
Oh, okay. I know that he's doing the smaller thing. He had a much bigger show at Mandalay. He brought in all this big stars.
Sorry,
right?
can you give me I've never heard of him. What is he, a singer? Is he a producer?
No, he's a producer and composer.
Like Neil Diamond kind of thing?
No.
He's
written. He's
right. Neil Diamond is written prolifically.
He produced all these stars, but he also wrote like a lot of famous songs.
A lot of the hits.
God, that's what I was asking. Singer, producer, okay. So I just wanted context.
He's a producer composer. Okay, mostly. He doesn't. I mean, he sings, but he's not a great singer. Okay. Anyway, his wife actually is. His wife is Catherine. Okay, but David Foster got up at Mandalay Bay. No one's gonna know this name except for the fact I booked her into Macau, so I know who she is. Okay, and this singer, her name is Lara Fabian. She's considered like the Celine Dion of Europe. Okay, most Americans have no idea who she is, though she sold at Carnegie Hall. He introduces her, and he says, with all the great voices I've worked with, and he mentions Celine, he mentions Barbara Streisand, he says, Lara Fabian is the top of the heap. That's his opinion, and some other people's opinion. You can't possibly opine on that because you don't even know who she is. So it's like, this is why this thing about like opinions being absolute, I just don't accept, you know. And he might be right.
I hear you there. I'm gonna say real quick. I hear you there, Ken. Mojo's extreme, my opinion, is what, you know, my taste is the art. I speak for all art or music or whatever. Sure, it's one extreme, but
Wait, hold on. Let me just say this. Of course, my opinion's the most important to me. Look. Of course, I'll say this: my favorite movie is the best movie to me, and I will argue these things till the day I die. But then there's some things that are just objectively true. Like The Godfather is better than the John Travolta Gotti, right? I think we can agree on some of those things. Some of these things are easy to build a consensus around. Some things are a little more difficult. All my point is that there is a difference, and it sounds like we all agree now, that there's a difference between quality of art and the commercial success of the art.
Hey, well, that's exactly where I was getting. Exactly. I got to push back on Ken saying success at the box office automatically equates and correlates to genius or absolute talented or gifted, which is not like people's, right? What is the famous expression? You can't account for people's taste. It's entertainment.
Superhero movies, though, the box office matters more than comparing, you know, Citizen Kane to Gone with the Wind. I think it's a different type of comparison.
Wait, hold on. In a superhero movie, in an era where the only movies that are released into theaters have IP that already exists, and you have huge budgets, huge stars, you're putting all kinds of money behind the marketing. Can you imagine what would happen if you put the money behind the marketing of some other films? People, you're not going to argue that these superhero movies are better than Shawshank Redemption. People didn't go see that in the theater because they thought the name of the movie was fucking stupid. They did not go see it. Go look at the box office results for Shawshank Redemption. Not only was it nominated for Best Picture, if you go look on IMDb, it's one of the highest ranked films of all fucking time. I actually don't like it as much as everybody else does, but I can recognize that this is something that commercially was a fucking disaster before it hit video, right? Before it hit the secondary market. In the theater, Shawshank Redemption was dead on arrival, fucking horribly. That's not an indication of whether the film was good or not.
Right, like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I don't think it was a box office smash, especially the year of the competition that came out. I think it was around the same time as Rocky.
Was it the same as Rocky? Same year?
Cuckoo's Nest was late 60s or early 70s?
70s.
Yeah.
Cuckoo's Nest.
But
you mean the
Jack
Nicholson one?
Exactly. Masterpiece. Nurse Ratched, I think she won Best Supporting. Masterpiece, as far, especially
75.
Cloris Leachman?
75.
Cloris Leachman you're talking about?
Was it Cloris?
No, it is Louise Fletcher,
Louise Fletcher, thank you. But I think 75 was Jaws, and that was like the epitome of a box office smash.
Yeah. Rocky was the stunner that won.
Rocky was the underdog.
I mean, really, and when you now talk about how they filmed that and what little budget they had, and he went running, that famous scene where he's running through the Italian market, like they didn't script that. He went running through, that was all natural reactions that the people that were there, like, who is this guy? Why is he running here? That was great.
Hey, I want to read this to Moose because I didn't know this, but you brought it up. So, Cuckoo's Nest had a budget of $3 million. The domestic gross was 109. The worldwide gross was 163. It's one of the most profitable films of the 70s with a return of 50x its budget, and it was the second highest grossing film in 75 behind Jaws.
No kidding. Wow, I stand corrected. Well, I mean, it's safe to say that's a unicorn. For a character-driven film with no special effects, that's incredible. I did not know that. Wow, I thought it was
What
like
do
a
you mean
box
there were
office.
special effects when that Native American busted through the wall and they flew, they escaped?
I saw it on off-Broadway, Moose.
Do you remember the actors?
Danny DeVito.
Ah, no kidding.
I'm trying to think. There were like a lot of famous people that I didn't know who they were, but they ultimately, it was like the beginning of a lot of careers. It was definitely off Broadway.
What do you think about the predictive programming of Avengers Infinity War and Thanos and Dr. Fauci and the plague?
I don't think I want to have a discussion of anything of the kind.
I mean, isn't there, some Jewish influence in Infinity Wars with the Gauntlet and the Infinity Stones? Isn't that like the Kabbalah and the Sephiroth?
Don't know. I just know that's Superman.
Abby, you should read
everything you need to consider with the Donner Supermans and what later came with Marvel, because of just like where we were in calendars, different time periods. Marvel was a pretty dead company, but at the time when the Donner Supermans came out, there's a whole story behind how Marvel got revived. So Marvel wasn't even in a position to do anything of that caliber when the Donner Supermans came out.
No, that's fine. I'm just talking about which were better movies. The Donner Superman it's a better movie than anything that Marvel's done. If you want to talk about the good characters within Marvel that eventually they'll get right, you have to look at who's got a good rogue gallery. Like Batman's got the best villains, right? Everybody knows that, and that's DC. But in Marvel, the best villains are in Spider-Man. So Spider-Man is always potentially going to be the hit. And the reason why Spider-Man was so successful as a comic book is they finally realized that like the majority of the people that were buying comic books were kids. And so they finally said, well, why don't we have one of these fucking heroes be a kid? So Spider-Man was brilliantly done. But the crown jewel of Marvel, and eventually this will get done well in the theaters, is X-Men. The examination of social issues in this country is covered in X-Men. The Professor Xavier character, that is supposed to be the Malcolm X character, and Magneto is Malcolm X. And the whole mutant thing is a metaphor for Black America. And so you have these two different ways, these two different approaches. One is saying, hey, we need to work with these humans, right? And the other was saying, no, we need to fucking fight these humans. And so like X-Men runs really deep if you actually go and read the comic books. The films have never really done this in a good way. This is gonna sound crazy, but I think the perfect person to do an X-Men film is Spike Lee.
Alright, I know I'm gonna catch a lot of flack for this. I fucking hate Batman.
You can hate Batman, but the villains are the best villains in any comic book series.
Oh, I agree with that.
The Joker is the best villain, period, across any comic book.
I hate the idea. I guess because I'm too much of a literalist when it comes to like thinking about this shit. Like he's a regular fucking dude in a suit. Like if Bane punched him one time, he would be dead. Like just one punch to the chest.
But that's what makes him so badass.
But Bane did fight him. Bane broke his back. And this is my grievance with comic books and the multiverse and all this bullshit, is that once his back was broken by Bane, he should have always walked with a cane or they should have explained that, yes, now I have a bad back. I hate the fact that you could die in a fucking comic book and then they just snap their fucking fingers and boom, we're in a different universe. It's terrible, terrible storytelling.
I'm just saying, like, if Bane punched him, he could, like, liquefy his fucking internal organs. Like, that's the only problem I have. Like, he gets thrown off a 30-story building, and he slams into the ground, and he gets up, and he crawls back to his feet, you know? Like, it's just, sorry.
there's my favorite Superman comic book is when Superman goes to this underground wrestling spot in Oakland called Hood Slam. Hood Slam's like a real thing. If you guys are ever in Oakland, it's the craziest thing. Like the champion was named Drugged Bunny. He just dressed up like a bunny, and he would come out with a bunch of powder, and he would just like get all like coked up, and the characters were fucking crazy. They'd have people like dressed up as like Street Fighter characters. It's the best experience in terms of performance art that I've ever seen, and it got noticed by the comic book writers at DC, and they had Superman go and face off at Hood Slam.
Roger, are you aware also, by the way, with Spider-Man, and I don't recall all of it anymore, but there's been like litigation or whatever you want to call it between Sony and Marvel for years over who has the rights to produce and distribute Spider-Man movies, and even getting the first Spider-Man movie out was difficult because of that issue. So, I mean, and sometimes what you might see on the screen, particularly with Spider-Man, might be compromised by, those types of issues. I mean, and it happens with James Bond too, because of it used to happen with James Bond because of the Broccoli family and MGM. That's been cleaned up just recently. But for most of our lives, I mean, other things go on too.
Well, who's going to get the rights to the Clubhouse movie?
John Kitover will.
Whoever owns the content, and you're the only one that has a repository of this, besides Clubhouse.
John, can we just get a Raboinoid?
Yeah, Rabbono Shel Olam. Many people don't know what that means, but in Hebrew that means master of the universe, and it's extremely useful to repeat that saying, Rabbono Shel Olam.
Oh, Roger, you'll love this.
Wait, hold on. Before you do, can we just address the autism that appeared in the chat where Eric Novelist said Superman wasn't part of any political party?
John, would you mind breaking down Skeletor for Roger? It's a really good take. You probably enjoy it because I know you're from that era.
Yeah,
Roger.
so that movie Skeletor, He-Man Masters of the Universe, that's all about Skeletor is, this wizard who takes Grayskull, opens up a portal to the universe, and becomes God. He literally becomes God, and everybody's like, oh shit, Skeletor became God. But Skeletor had an anger management problem, and he couldn't let it go. And even though he was God, and he already won, he couldn't let it go, and so he fucked it all up.
That was the worst take you've ever given on it.
No, but it's true. Just watch that movie and you'll realize Skeletor wins, but he's still unhappy. He's still angry, and thus it destroys him in the end.
What's the chick that always guides him around? What's his chick?
Fuck, what was that girl's name? Evelyn.
Tila?
No, Evelyn. Like evil. Her name was Evelyn, basically.
What's your take on her, John?
She was his concubine or lover, but it was kind of funny when he takes Grayskull. She says, Grayskull is finally ours. And he goes, no! Mine! I mean, technically, that movie is not about He-Man. It's actually all about Skeletor.
And what's the underlying message of the story?
It's about self-actualization or personal development. Skeletor, again, he suffered from anger management problems. He was a road rager, uncovered the secrets of the universe, but he was still angry.
I was just looking up. So David Foster's married to Catherine McPhee.
Yeah.
35-year age gap.
Yeah, he's been married many times, as you know, right?
I'm just looking at and like, dude, Catherine McPhee is like a smoke show. Like, this is wild.
Yeah, a friend of mine, here's a story. A friend of mine who used to do weddings, he's like in event production, doesn't do weddings anymore. He just does like corporate events. He actually he was in charge of the music and everything for Catherine McPhee's first wedding to her, before David Foster. But they were already friends because they had known each other through like American Idol or something. She won one of those talent shows, or she was on one of those talent shows. So David Foster got invited to the wedding. Okay, and so David Foster, got up, and even though he wasn't, engaged to like play there, right? I mean, my friend had his own piano player, but for David Foster, you step aside if David wants to do something. I mean, because David's got like 20 Grammys or something. So David Foster's like playing this song or doing this song, and like a lot of people don't know who he is. I mean, I will admit that, okay? Because he's not a singer, right? He's better, actually, interestingly enough, he's better known in Japan because the Japanese actually read the liner notes of CDs. That's a whole different issue. But so David Foster's doing this song, and one of the attendees who doesn't know who he is, but is impressed with his musical abilities, actually goes up to him and says, you should think about doing this as a career. But yeah, no, I know. Yeah, they've known each other a long time, but now they are married. They have a kid. By the way, the kid, this kid's like, I saw the kid when he was like, maybe he was only 3, maybe he was 6, I don't know, but he was a tot, and he was like playing the drums, and God, he's good. Okay, I mean, it just like runs in the family,
So Roger Moose is requesting to come up, audience or?
Yeah, bring him up. I tried bringing him up, but yeah, I don't know how he got down there. We got Water in here. Water is one of these guys that hangs out with Democrats and has weird takes on things. Water, what kind of weird take do you have tonight?
Andy hangs out with the mirror.
Don't do that. I hang out with all you weirdos.
Don't you hang out with the mirror?
No, hold on. Rich, there's no need to interrupt here. Water's got this. Water, give us your best take. What's your best take
On Superman, Batman?
Yeah, title of the room. I've heard you speak in other rooms, and you're in that bottom third of young people, and so I just want to hear you.
Bottom third of young people. Why don't you elaborate on the label you're trying to label me first?
Stupid. I said dumb people. You're one of the dummies. You're one of the low IQs. You're one of the midwits.
But yet you're eager to hear my take. Make that make sense.
I'm easily amused. Please continue.
You're mathing, my friend.
Okay. Is that the best you got?
Well, I just saw Superman. It felt kind of rushed. Full discretion, but yeah, no spoilers. Yeah, it felt very rushed. Did anybody else see it?
I haven't seen it, but Roger, I'll put in my 2 cents. That's actually why I came back to the room. I think it changed the room title. I'll argue that Batman could have been a Republican, not just because Bruce Wayne was a billionaire, but the whole reason Batman was created, as we know from the comic books, Dark Knight, because his parents were killed. So when he was a young boy, so he dedicates his life to avenging their deaths in the name of justice. And what president, fun fact, wrongly went into Iraq because Saddam Hussein put a hit on George Bush Sr. Now, he never succeeded, but, it's along those similar lines.
Interesting. Here's what I will say about Batman. As much as I like the villains in Batman, I do think that he's the biggest underachiever. I mean, he's got a billionaire He's got all the toys at his disposal. Yet he can't even control the crime in Gotham. It's fucking crazy. You have other superheroes, like for example in Marvel, and again, I'm not a big fan of the Marvel movies, but if you look at Iron Man, that's overachieving. They're essentially the same guy. One's got the bat suit, the other's got the Iron Man suit. They're billionaires. They got all the toys. They got all the shit. But the scope of what Iron Man is able to do is so much. If Iron Man went to Gotham, he'd clean that shit up in a fucking second. Batman fucking struggled to deal with underboss criminals like fucking the Penguin.
I think one thing all superheroes have in common, Marvel or DC, including Wonder Woman, like male and female superheroes, none of them really got any action. None of them really got laid. Batman was always getting hit on left and right by Catwoman, Batgirl, usually the villains, the femme fatales, all loved Batman, but he always turned him down.
Do you guys ever see the film adaptation of Watchmen?
The film adaptation of Watchmen, the movie?
Is it like 4 hours?
No, it's not 4 hours. It's almost 3 hours. It's very good. The only thing they really changed was at the end in the graphic novel. It's an octopus, and they didn't know how they'd be able to film that with the budget they had, so they ended up saying that it was a nuclear exchange that they were worried about, and so I think it actually plays pretty well. But the love scene set to Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah, best love scene in any superhero movie outside of Howard the Duck.
Yeah, The Watchmen was an instant classic. That was well done as an adaptation.
And Dr. Jordan in the background, in the back channel, asking me if the scientist is still on the stage. If you guys remember, the scientist was the pretty girl. She wasn't very bright, but I guess I'm going to tell him she is here.
Jinx.
Not the one who was in the Situation Room multiple times.
Right. I don't think she absorbed a lot of the information that we shared. She just didn't seem to sink in.
I think the only thing that woman absorbs is penis.
My injection.
Well, this has been a long day.
You've been here a long time. All day.
Yeah. Did I tell you guys that I started my day with a 32-ounce energy drink, a Rev Up?
300 milligrams of caffeine.
No, that's what I normally do. I normally start my day with a Black Rifle coffee that's 300 milligrams. But this was a 32-ounce. It's called Rev Up. It was flavor was blue raspberry.
Oh, that's right. You couldn't feel anything.
No, it didn't hit me, but it's steady state. It's like I didn't get the highs that I would normally get, but but now this is hours later, and I'm just I'm not going to bed anytime soon. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That all makes sense now.
Got me all wound up. American Party, are you a caffeine junkie?
Yeah, I have an espresso machine, and to get 6 or 8 of those little pods, it's now about $15. But I love my Nespresso maker. It's one of the best kitchen appliances or items I've bought. I love coffee, and having an immediate Nespresso available is fantastic.
So I don't do fancy, but I've got a Keurig, and I buy this inexpensive local thing called Seattle's Best, and I can get 60 of these little Keurig. It's not the best coffee, I'll be honest. It's a medium roast breakfast blend, and but for 60 of these things, I only pay $10.99. It's a pretty good deal.
Well, I don't know if you read the news about Starbucks, but they're really de-escalating their stores, and they're removing even a lot of the in-app purchase abilities in stores because they found it's not as a pleasant experience for the customer. There's no human interaction as opposed to just making people into robots. So Starbucks and their new CEO is supposedly revamping the experience, not only in the store but in the app as well.
Yeah, the previous CEO didn't do him any favors.
I stopped going to Starbucks when they stopped carrying the chocolate-covered espresso beans. As soon as that was unavailable, I checked out.
I'm not a big fan of those Ryan Reynolds movies where he plays Deadpool. I mean, I like the movies, but the like the way he talks, the wittiness, the comedy, the snide little remarks. It's like, let me just see an action movie. I know it's like action plus comedy, but I don't know. To me, like, watching him in one movie is enough, and then the continuation of that type of personality, it's like, I have no desire whatsoever to give money or time to a movie theater really for the rest of my life, unless perhaps I have a wife and a child who I need to pacify with stupidity to waste their time so I can get some peace and quiet. I mean, that's the only reason I could possibly see wanting to go into a movie theater to watch more regurgitated shit over and over again. There's nothing new underneath the movie theater, dome. And, it's alpha brainwave state. It's the same thing opening up Gmail, Netflix, Hulu, even this app. You get an immediate dopamine response. It puts you into a slumber and a brainwave state, and it's basically hypnosis.
To build on that, John, it is kind of wild when you open up Netflix and all these apps and shit, and you look through and you're like, I've seen almost everything here. And then you start looking at it and you're like, these are like an hour and a half long. And I've seen probably 30,000 movies on this fucking. And I'm like, how much time have we wasted? I mean, granted, it's entertainment, but a lot of the shit that we watch is dumb. And I also that's my biggest pushback on the DC shit. It's same fucking shit with the characters. It's like, oh, Superman fights a bad guy and he wins. That's different.
The only Ryan Reynolds movie that I've watched more than once is one that he has a small role in, and it's Adventureland. It's becoming one of my favorite films, dude.
Notebook.
Dude, shut up.
I love that movie.
You would.
I'm a hopeless romantic.
You got the first part right.
Bro, I was the only kid in middle school or high school when everybody's like, "Kid, I hope I never have a kid." I'm like, I want kids. I want a bunch of kids. I want 10.
I saw them filming that movie in Charleston when I was in college, and I don't know why you think it's such a great movie. Like, it's again, I would never want to spend time watching these movies again. To me, actually being on Clown House, recording my ugly bald head on YouTube, is like me doing what they do and me not wasting my time, even though I know it's a waste of time. I'm just saying that movies, if you calculate the total number of hours that you have spent consuming movies and that opportunity cost lost, it's unbelievable how much time. It's unquantifiable what could have been achieved if it wasn't for the mass hypnosis and commercialization of pictures.
Yeah, but it's art, and I would recommend, and this is probably what I'll do for the rest of my life, is I don't want to watch any more than maybe 5 movies a year, new movies, but I want to go back and watch the classics that I might have missed, which there's not a lot of them, because I'm pretty big into film, and there's a lot of shit that I've seen. When it comes to the AFI Top 100, there's like 4 or 5 left that I haven't seen. Eventually, I'll get around to that. Some of the Kurosawa films are things that I'll probably visit at some point because people, say that you gotta watch them. So I'll go check them out. But there's movies that I watch over and over again. Like every year, I'll go to the theater and I'll say "It's a Wonderful Life." There's just different times of the year when I'm watching movies. My very favorite film of all time is Night of the Hunter with Robert Mitchum. I think that's one of the best movies ever made. Tom Browning's Freaks.
Wait, I gotta ask you a question about that movie. When that old lady shoots at him and he runs off hooting and hollering, is he just being like crazy, and funny? Like he's demented. He's so demented. It's like I don't know. It's a terrifying and strange movie.
Yeah, I think it's must watch. And Robert Mitchum's Cape Fear. If anybody's ever seen Scorsese's directed Cape Fear with De Niro and Nick Nolte, if you thought that was good at all, you should go see the original Cape Fear with Robert Mitchum. It's Gregory Peck, I think. Much better film. Robert Mitchum plays crazy better than anybody's ever played crazy.
I don't know. Do you ever dislike the fact that everything you've watched is just a clone of a former version of it, and the original does seem to be, better or if not as good as the new one, like Cape Fear, for example? Do you ever think how could this be that there's nothing new or original? I mean, it's business. It's a business formula. It's obvious that you just want to copy what's already been successful because you got historical data and you can, this is a good bet. So
there are some exceptions to that though, right? Like Wizard of Oz has been adapted a bunch of times. A lot of people think that the 1939 Judy Garland version of Wizard of Oz is the first one to ever make it to film, and it's not. And so, but that was far superior to the earlier ones. So I do think that Batman's another one that I would say Christopher Nolan's interpretation of Batman is better than what let's say Tim Burton did, in my opinion. But no, I take the point. I will say this, and people hate when I say it. You guys are going to hate when I say it, but I think that the movie is usually better than the book. I know people like to say that the book is always better than the movie, but if you've ever read Mario Puzo and then you've watched The Godfather, or if you were to have read Wise Guy by Nicholas Pileggi and then watched Goodfellas, specifically in the gangster genre, the books, they're boring. They're boring books, but then they make these great films.
Really, I like Puzo's Godfather. I thought that book was a lot of fun, because it really gave you a deeper insight into mafia or the extent of the power of the Godfather. I thought it was a fun book.
I think the only value that I really took out of it was the character that they build up, that they don't build up properly in the films, which is Al Neri. I think that he's probably the most underappreciated character from any of the films, and he was consistently fucking loyal. He was anyways, Al Neri.
Let me ask you this question. Do you think, you're born penniless and you die penniless. So with regards to human behavior and the advent of the picture business, humans have been obsessed with recording themselves and publishing their pictures, their videos, their creativity. So what I'm trying to say is the economy, career, business, life in general, as they like to say here on Clownhouse, at the end of the day, everybody's literally just an actor, and it's a question of, if every man and every woman is a star, it's a question of your picture business in a way. I'm just trying to say that humans seem to be obsessed with creating videos and watching videos.
This is true, but here's something that I've given thought to, and I'd love to get your guys' opinion. Is you said that people are essentially actors. I think the people that go through life where it's kind of scripted for them, whether they live in a family where they're forced to go to church and then they go to work for doing a job they don't like to do. I think those type of people are actors, and then there's that smaller group of people that actually are authoring the activities that happen in their life, and they're proactively writing the script of their life and directing it. And so my advice to people would be the writer and director of your life and not the actor that's just reciting lines.
Well, I just want to add one more thought, is that technically prior to the internet and databases and digital storage, movies and pictures, people, because all those things are now digitized now, everybody in the 20s, 30s, and 40s technically uploaded themselves to the internet in the 20s and 30s, without knowing that there would be this internet. So I'm just saying that storage of memories or memory storage through pictures and videos, it seems like that's what's lasting. And the fact that we are now rehashing or redescribing all of our memories and all the movies we've ever seen and our critique of it, it does seem that like pictures and movies are always going to be the thing for human behavior, activity, and consumption.
It's because stories tell, but videos sell.
Do you think it's possible? I like that saying. I'm gonna write that one down.
It's true.
Do you think it's possible, though, that the future conversations down the road on social audio, when people gather in the future to talk about things, that reparations will be discussed for people's likenesses that had been exposed and exploited, and that you have a whole new generation that are fighting for reparations because of the exploitation and the unpaid labor of actors that that didn't get to profit properly from these moving pictures. I think it's possible that reparations will cover some of these stars that didn't get paid for the fame that they're going to achieve in the future. Specifically, people like Orson Welles. As long as people continue to say that Citizen Kane is like the best movie, which is not. It's not even his best movie. Touch of Evil is. But yeah, I think there's a reparations conversation coming for these actors.
Oh, okay, though. Orson Welles doing War of the Worlds.
Yeah, he's a fat guy reading to a dumb public,
Which was, it was amazing what happened with that. They didn't announce anything before or after, and they created an actual panic. Just by his telling them that reading this actual comic book, War of the Worlds.
But that was unintentional. I think what we lived through in 2020 and beyond, where it was intentional.
No, that was intentional.
The intentional panic. The pandemic was really War of the Worlds, but with intentionality.
I didn't look at it that way, but well spoken.
Let me ask one more theory. Do you think America's decline or economic output or industrial productivity declined as a result of like an increase in a media creation and consumption curve? Because our mass distribution and our greatest export really has to be probably considered Hollywood, the movies and the music. And that influence and huge revenue driver for Los Angeles, Hollywood, New York City, etc. What I'm trying to say is now that everybody has a cell phone to create their own movies and consume their own creations or consume all the shit that gets pushed onto you by the algorithms, what I'm saying is America will never, ever come back to a state of manufacturing, expansion again, because the desire to consume digital information is so powerful that that distraction requires everybody to be constantly looking at their cell phone. No one will ever start making shit in this country again because the the addiction to cell phone usage is that strong.
It is very strong, but we have an AI revolution coming, and we have a robotics revolution coming in less than 3 to 5 years. So that is going to be a wave that will make us more productive, but maybe not more employment for sure. So there's a huge sea change coming there that people really are going to have to digest. And we'll see about production.
I think you guys are mentioning some really interesting shit. I'll show you a dumb theory that I came up with. You guys probably know I'm a wrestling fan. And I was thinking about the decline of Western civilization, and more specifically the U.S. After the fall of the Soviet Union, right? Between World War II and the collapse of the Soviet Union, there became this era where there was no competition. There was no other superpower. And if you go and look at pro wrestling, the best times to watch pro wrestling was when there was competing interests. For example, in the 70s, they had a territory system, and they weren't necessarily competing, but they all had their own products, and it was thriving locally. There was massive matches going on all the time. And, like in some markets, like in Dallas, Texas, they were doing wrestling every day, and then the big show was on a Friday night. And if you go into the 90s, which was the last big boom era of pro wrestling, WCW, owned by Ted Turner at the time, had put a lot of money into it. And they, for 83 weeks in a row, they beat WWE in the ratings. 83 weeks in a row, they were the winner. WWE was on the ropes. And then what happened was, after getting their ass kicked for 83 weeks in a row, that competition fueled them. And that's when they came out of that 83-week slump with people like The Rock and Stone Cold and the whole Attitude Era, and it became the biggest boom era WWE was there. And so the money, Stone Cold Steve Austin 316 shirts, that merchandise, it sold more than all the other stars combined. No, like Rock, Hogan, all those guys combined don't touch the money that was made by Stone Cold. And so I think the decline of Western civilization is the fact that we don't have a true competitor. And so we make these things up like, oh, well, we're competing with China. China doesn't have they're building a navy, but those ships can't even fucking cross the ocean. I think that what we need is a real competitor, and I'm hoping it's not China, because I don't want to fight them. I'm actually hoping that India gets off their ass, and because they've got a big population and they've got a lot of good engineers and whatnot, I'm hoping that India can have the aspirations to say, we're going to be the country that's going to push us into the next century. And that might be the spark that we need to get competitive again. I think the lack of real competition, like having somebody that truly is an equal to us in some way, shape, or form, would motivate. The Soviets, when that whole space race shit, that was fucking great for everybody involved. It made us innovate. I'm hoping it goes down is that China, India, a few other countries make some advancements in AI that freak us out, and that we fucking just turn it into like, this is our fucking mission. This is our ride or die. We must fucking win at all costs, and then we win the AI race. And then when we do that, then boom, land of milk and honey again.
Would be nice. I mean, in drone and in solar, China's ahead. We're not doing the right things to put us in the position that you're hoping for, but we'll see.
See, now this, you may call this philosophical, but I do believe that the now is all important. And so if you think that there's this moment in the future of winning something called the AI race, it's still in the now. And so what I'm saying is that there's a 99.9% chance that the status quo right now is going to be the status quo in what we call the theoretical future. It's my opinion.
But is the now like actually now? Because if it's actually now, then it's a few seconds
There's
ago.
only literally, if there's no past, there's no future, there's no now.
I think there should be a spectrum of now, like maybe like a range from 5 minutes ago to 5 minutes in the future. I think we could define that as now. I think that would be a better definition of now.
The point is, when you search the experience of what now means, it really means that the real can only be now. Therefore, you are living in a compression of the past and the future. And that's why I say the status quo in the future will probably be what it is right now.
I'm gonna kind of agree with the whole 5 minute past, 5 minute future. A little bit of time. You're actually alleviating the quality of time and everything you're saying. Your quality of time may be negated, but there are moments in time that are suspended in our memory. There is just those moments that can be forever and always, but can be something we don't think about again. I think you're maybe discounting that aspect.
Plato said everything between birth and death is now. Actually, I just made that up.
I think that should be the new move. Try every room, try to like make up a quote of your own and attribute it to somebody and see if anybody can call you out on it. Just once a day, just
Absolutely. Absolutely.
People already do that all day. Oh, me though. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just words. Kind of like Concrete and Ike, Roger.
It's on the delivery.
I don't know. The real quotes are pretty crazy. Like Ben Franklin, beer makes everybody happy.
There's some truth to the real quotes. Like one of my favorite, which is very apropos for Clubhouse, is all I know is I know nothing, Socrates. But like I get the philosophical message there. It's like you can't possibly.
So great.
Yeah, like no one can know everything, but is it really possible that you know nothing?
But you have to know the concept of it was a big fuck you, by the way.
Can you know nothing though?
Moose, I have that Socrates quote tattooed on my left arm. It says, "I am the wisest man alive, for I know one thing, and that is that I know nothing."
That is the correct.
However,
Moose,
you got to realize
you asked if somebody could know nothing.
in that statement,
water probably does that pretty well.
In that statement, Socrates says, "I know the no thing, which is the nothing." So what is the nothing? That is technically God.
Hey Roger, have you ever asked Water about his PTR? What it means? How he can't fucking explain what it means?
No, I don't ask him any questions. All I know is like if you show up in like rooms with like people like Patty and other lefty retards, he's like in there and he's like there's people in this room that we just tolerate because they've been around for a while. That's the way they put up with him. And like I just sit in the audience and I was like, oh, he's their group retard.
So wait, PFC Ekron, why are you standing like that with your left arm jutted out? And why is there a black strip over your eyes that says Afrikaans Nazi? Like, can you explain this incredibly stupid PTR of you? I assume that's not actually you, that you wouldn't be that
it's
stupid.
a guy from the Oklahoma National Guard who immigrated to the United States from South Africa. So
and he joined the army or the National Guard. I mean, so wait, Water, explain
to gain
yourself.
his citizenship, John.
Water, why don't you just give us a quick little brief bio about yourself? Or not. Never mind. Thank you very little. Please proceed.
Well, I guess if he's asleep, Roger, you should probably move him down to the audience.
I'm charging my phone. My bad.
Well, wisdom comes from above. So, I mean, go ahead, give us a little bit of a bio about yourself, Dr. Water.
What's going on?
We want to know what your PTR or why you say.
No, we don't want to know. No, we don't.
we don't care about any of that.
That's not what we want to know. Hold on. If we're gonna get Water,
speak for yourself.
If we're gonna get Water to contribute in any way, I just want to know, Water. Like, did you vote for Kamala Harris and why?
No, I did not. I don't subscribe. No.
Who'd you vote for?
I don't subscribe for the past 2 elections. No.
What do you mean you don't subscribe?
It's not a Twitter account or something you subscribe to, Dr. Water.
That's what it feels like, to be honest. The Electoral College. I mean,
Water, do you live in West Virginia?
No, I do.
Has anybody in your family fucked their sister?
No, not to my knowledge.
Water, if we were to make you king of America or king of the world, what would you do for we the people? Thank you, Dr. Water.
I would abolish the crown altogether. I would represent 51% of this population, which are women, in our administration, in Congress, and Senate, in the House of Representatives. I would do a lot of basic need shit. I would give us our universal basic income. And when I say I mean I would usher in the inevitable. We would ramp up automation all the fucking way.
I have a question for you.
I could go.
Noting that the United States government currently is spending $7 trillion, which is $2.5 trillion more than we take in taxes. You're asking for UBI. How in the world are we going to pay for that?
Oh, it's simple. Just like you said, where's all that fucking money going? All you have to do is manage those funds correctly, and we'll be able to budget it in easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Where the federal government sticks money, the biggest expenditure is social welfare programming. It is Social Security, it is disability insurance, it is Medicare. It chews up $2.5 to $2.75, approaching $3 trillion a year. The second expenditure in the federal budget is interest on our $37 trillion debt. The third line item in our budget is our military, which ranges anywhere from $750 to $950 billion a year. The fourth expenditure is everything else. That's Pell Grants, that's farm subsidies, that's the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, that's everything else. So if we already currently spend...
Are you including APAC?
Just wait till I go with the question.
Okay.
If we currently spend...
Marshall, pause. Sometimes the retards bring up something that we should consider. He said, "What about APAC?" So, Water, go ahead.
APAC?
No, hold on, Water. Make your point. What's your grievance with APAC?
No, I don't have any grievance with what Marshall's listing, unless.
No, we're not talking about what Marshall just said. No,
it's all related. I just want to know why he's excluding APAC in the government assistance programs.
Hold on. Hold on. We're gonna organize this conversation a little bit. Water, what is your position about APAC? You like them? You hate them? You're indifferent to them? Talk to us.
Oh, it's fine as long as they don't cut the American benefits. I believe that the American benefits should come first before anything. So if we're going to cut anybody's benefits, APAC should be cut first and foremost, should we not?
Wait, you're complaining about the 1A?
Hold on, Marshall. Hold on. We've got a thread to tug on here. So, Water, I just want to take this bit by bit. what made you, when Marshall was listing all of these expenditures, what caused you to think about a lobbying group? Like, what was it that made you mention that?
Well, he's going to bitch and moan about everything. Might as well include APAC, right?
Right. So hold on. What is your grievance with APAC?
I'm not. He's the one bitching and moaning. I'm just saying, you got to be fair.
Literally not funded by the federal government. Literally
Stop, Marshall. Hold on. We're gonna get somewhere here. Water. So he listed all these expenditures, and then you, like a retard with Tourette's, shouted out, "What about APAC?" And I'm just curious, what inspired you to even think of this group?
Like, because we're cutting domestic aid, we're cutting our own, birthright social services, and if we're gonna go one step further, I think now is the time more than ever to consider owning our money, just like West Africa is doing by cutting the umbilical cord.
Okay, so pretend I've never heard of APAC, and pretend and you know what? Some of the people in the audience have maybe never heard of it. So, in your opinion, what is APAC and what do they do?
It's foreign aid to Israel. It's basically creating social services for Israel, which is completely fine. I have no issue supporting any nation that is asking for help, as long as they don't commit genocide and war crimes around the rest of the world. I'm completely fine if they're a good neighbor.
Interesting. So hold on. So my question then would be: so Marshall is going through, Medicare, Social Security, interest on the debt, military spending, and then so you then said, "What about APAC?" And now what we're learning.
First I said before that was the budget.
Hold on. And then I asked you, okay, well, what is APAC? And so this thing, when we're talking about the holistic